Hi everyone, it's Matthew McKenzie again, care activist from my site, A Caring Mind. I raise awareness of special events, especially aimed at those caring for someone with long-term mental health. However, today I'm going to be talking about something that requires a different type of care towards each other. And it actually something that has affected me throughout my life and possibly will continue to do so. It's something that matters deeply to me. I suppose not just globally, I mean personally, and I think it affects those, every day, really, in the way we work. So for March the 21st, it actually marks International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. And basically it's a day that's led and promoted by the United Nations, alongside other organizations, communities, and individuals around the world. It's also supported by groups like the OHCHR, the UN Human Rights Office, basically that's what it stands for, and they work to protect dignity and equality for all peoples. So why does this day exist? What's the point of it? Well, the point is that, unfortunately, if you look back in history, even up to recent periods, but let's go back in history. I'll give you one example, the Sharpeville Massacre. When we had peaceful protesters who stood against apartheid, and they were met with violence. And it's not just that, I'm just sort of giving you an example. So this is one of the reasons for this special day. It's a day about remembrance, but it's also a day about responsibility. Because as it stands now, racism didn't really end in 1960s, and it didn't disappear with laws or just policies. It actually still shows up, sometimes loudly with violence, and sometimes discreetly, sometimes quietly, usually in our workplace, healthcare systems. An example, over in England we have the Patient Care Race Equality Framework, which is a framework to combat racism in healthcare systems. It also shows up in education. This is something that's affected me in education. No doubt I was affected by racism, and there are times that it's due to a bias. I am still affected by it. So this goes to everyday interactions. And as I've mentioned earlier, from this point, being a caring mind is someone working with mental health and caring spaces. I actually see how deeply this can affect people. Racism can impact confidence, access to support, and trust in services, and ultimately in the long run it can affect someone's well-being. Care, I feel, should never depend on who you are or where you come from, or how you're perceived by others. I believe care is about dignity, respect, and truly seeing people. I'm not saying it's easy to do so. We all have our biases. It's not just about treating them. The question really should be, what can we actually do about racism in real life every day? And because of this video, because raising awareness is important, it's not enough. It's really action that really creates change. So for the last part of this awareness video, I want to give some ideas that's helped me in combating racism. And the first thing I would say to yourselves, if you want to combat racism, is to listen, really. Listen to people's lived experience without dismissing or trying to explain them away. Obviously, discussing racism can be uncomfortable, but in this day and age, it's quite necessary. Second is educate yourselves, and those who stayed this far into the video, well done. Because racism isn't always obvious. It's systematic, it's discreet, can be subtle, it can be built into structures. So learning about racism really matters. The third thing is to speak up, like what I'm doing here. Obviously, if you hear something wrong, a comment, maybe a stereotype or a joke, don't let it pass. Even a simple, it's not okay. For you to just say that to someone makes a big difference. The fourth thing is reflecting on ourselves. We all, as I said earlier on, we all have biases, even myself. We're not perfect. So the goal isn't really to pretend that, we're perfect and that we don't often trip up. It's to recognize and challenge them, recognize our own biases, reflect on our own experiences and how we use it to perceive others. And the fifth and last one, I reckon, is support fairness in what we do in every day, in practice. This could mean advocating for inclusive policies, standing up to make a difference, standing up to fight for what is fair, equal access to services, or making sure voices are heard, especially, I suppose, in the caring place or mental health spaces. We must really lead with empathy, because when people feel seen and lived experience is valued and respected, things begin to change. So finally, I do feel this day isn't really about guilt. It's more about growing and challenging and making a stand. It's about choosing to build a world where everyone belongs. And we should really choose what the UN's principles stand for, which is humanity over division, connecting together, choosing understanding over assumptions. I'd like to say, with our everyday actions, I hope things change for people like myself and like you. I'd like to say thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for more awareness, awareness videos and blogs for myself. Thank you for watching.